Chapter 4, Relationships. Since the world is interconnected and interdependent, if one of us is in pain, we all feel it. On a Zen retreat. Unlike in August, when the autumn meditation retreat began, in September it was quite chilly in the morning and evening at Bongam Zen Monastery. During this retreat period, the monastery housed 100 monks, slightly more than at normal times, who gathered to meditate for many hours, seated on cushions. At 3 o'clock every morning, we would get up, wash our faces, and then go to the Buddha Hall for the early morning service. While walking to the Buddha Hall, I would often be greeted by starlight streaming down from the clear night sky. The refreshing air of Mount Huiyang and the sound of the clear rapid water surrounding the monastery help monks stay alert to the here and now. During this retreat period, I volunteered for gonsang, which in Korean means arranging on the table the various dishes made in the kitchen for the formal monastic meal called baru gongyang. Since I was the most senior of the 7 monks on the gonsang team, I was asked to be the head. The other monks were sincere and diligent, and when the time came, we were able to carry out our duties well, in a spirit of harmony. But while we were busy preparing for lunch, I was suddenly called by an older monk, who directed me to leave my team and sweep the outside steps leading down from the kitchen. The moment I heard his instructions, I began to wonder, why did such a task have to fall to our table-setting team? All of us were clearly busy with our own work. It was inconsiderate of the older monk to make us do this extra cleaning, too. And, of course, he would know that people don't like to be told what to do outside their assigned job. If the state of the steps was such a bother to him, why pass the task on to others? He could have cleaned them himself. After I had finished all the table-setting tasks for lunch, I swept the steps on my own, thinking that someone like this old monk, who dumped whatever tasks he didn't like onto his juniors, should never have become a monk in the first place. But when I finished sweeping the steps, I realized that it had taken me less than 5 minutes. All that pointless anguish over such a simple task, I could have done it without getting so worked up. All of a sudden I was embarrassed. Asterisk. What distresses us is less the circumstances we find ourselves in and more the energy we expend in resisting them. Once we actually do the work, we are often surprised that it was not as hard as we imagined it to be. But when we resist, we become preoccupied by an endless cycle of negative thoughts, and in turn feel harried and stressed. Of course, if someone continuously abuses your goodwill, you should express your feelings. But if you are dealing with a situation that you have no control over, or can't do much to change, then it is better to suspend your internal monologue, which serves only to make you feel irritated and aggrieved. The eminent Zen master Sankyol, 1912–1993, taught us to attain inner peace by not feeding negative thoughts and learning to accept circumstances. We don't need to suffer more by producing unnecessary thoughts. Asterisk. I had another small realization in connection with the monastic meal. Unlike breakfast and lunch, dinner in the monastery is an informal meal, as some monks choose not to eat it, since it can make them drowsy for the evening sitting session. Because it is informal, we sit around simple 4-legged tables in order of monastic seniority. This meant that every evening I had to sit opposite the same monk. Unfortunately, he was not that friendly, always sitting with an expressionless face. At first I tried to draw him out with a few remarks and questions, hoping to establish a rapport. But he only ever gave the briefest replies to my questions and seemed to be annoyed by my conversation. As the retreat continued, I would sit in total silence across from the monk, who was more impassive than anyone else at the dinner table. I was uncomfortable the whole time, wondering whether there was something in particular about me that he'd taken a dislike to. But about 2 weeks later I had a sudden realization, oddly enough, in the library. Asterisk. The library at Bongam Zen Monastery had been built just recently, So only one monk other than myself sought it out in the whole time I was there on retreat. And yet, even while sitting at the same long table, the two of us never so much as exchanged a single glance, much less spoke to each other. When I became aware of this, it struck me that, sitting impassive in the library, I must have looked no different from the monk who sat in silence across from me at every evening meal. And though I might have appeared indifferent or impassive to the monk in the library, this had nothing to do with anything bad I'd heard about him, or any antipathy on my part. I simply had given my full concentration over to the Buddhist texts I was reading. I was thinking absolutely nothing about that other monk, neither good nor bad. Wasn't it likely, then, that the monk who ate dinner across from me also had no particular regard for me? 3 weeks into the retreat, the opportunity came about, quite by chance, to have tea with the monk who sat opposite me at each evening meal. Seeing him cut a slice of apple and place it in front of me, and address me with a peaceful smile on his face, my realization was confirmed. A person's behavior might not be motivated by any particular thought or feeling, but still we make all kinds of assumptions. Deciding, this person must think X about me. Even though these are just projections of our anxiety onto someone else, we teach ourselves to dislike and even hate them, firmly believing in the truth of our assumptions. Asterisk. After our Gansang team had finished cleaning up and putting bowls away after lunch, we took a leisurely stroll across a field of beautiful pine trees against the backdrop of scenic mountains. All of a sudden, a feeling of gratitude and peace came over me. I was free of thoughts and simply appreciated everything around me in that moment. Unlike the chilly September mornings, the daytime still held the warmth of late summer. Living with family, friends, or roommates can be as difficult as doing spiritual practice, requiring you to act in consideration of others, by either renouncing or moderating your desires, not criticizing those who live a different way than you do and making an effort to understand and accept them. That, too, is an important part of spiritual practice. Asterisk. There are times when you assume the worst about someone and break off your relationship for good. At such times, stop for a moment. Fight the impulse to have the last word and to make an irrevocable break, lest you regret your decision, thinking, I should have kept my mouth shut. Asterisk. We all wish to belong. It is through those who care deeply about us that we find love and purpose in our lives. After all, we are all imperfect beings who need one another. Asterisk. If you're really drawn to someone, do not try to control them. Just try to enjoy spending time together. Only then will you be able to meet again. When you do not try to possess someone and just enjoy their company, the connection endures. Asterisk. It's best for two people to be equally drawn to each other. If one person likes the other too intensely, too soon, it can be scary, burdensome, or annoying. Asterisk. Two people can have a great first impression of each other, only for the relationship to quickly go bad. Rather than having seen each other for who they are, they only saw a fantasy that they projected onto each other. Asterisk. If you have a friend whom you have suddenly grown very close to, be careful. If you make a mistake, such a friend can easily turn into an enemy. When you are so close that you feel there is nothing you cannot say, you can easily hurt each other. Asterisk. If you suddenly become close to someone and start spending a lot of time together, you can come to dislike each other just as suddenly. You may start to feel that the other person is imprisoning you or that they take you for granted. It takes time to develop trust and affection. Wait until you actually miss each other before meeting up again. People who do not make an effort to form or maintain a relationship thinking that it will happen if it's meant to, often remains single. The person you are destined for will not suddenly appear one day, knocking on your door. Like in the French film Amélie. One cannot become president without campaigning. Even someone with a great chance of winning. A good relationship will never come about without work. Asterisk. You like someone, but he doesn't like you back. He likes you, but you think he is just a so-so. You like each other, but those around you get in the way. Having a relationship with someone is not easy. But if you do not give up, and keep working at it, at just the right season, the relationship will happen. Asterisk. Sunim, I finally figured it out. The success rate for meeting the right person is 1 in 10. Only after you have met 9 other people does one appear who you like. And who also likes you back. Asterisk. Perhaps there is no such thing as a soulmate. When you work hard to make your relationship work and stay together for a long time, then you each become the person you were meant to be with. Asterisk. If there is someone you genuinely love, whisper this to them this evening. I love you more than myself. I love you more than yesterday. You are where my heart starts from each morning. Asterisk. If you finally manage to meet up with someone after trying for a week or a month, the meeting will feel meaningful. In proportion to the time you had to wait. In this fast-paced world, where so much gets done immediately, when you have to wait long enough for anticipation to build, the moment with that person will be very special. Asterisk. If you really like someone, you do not offer the excuse that you are busy. No matter how busy you are, you still make time. If he constantly makes excuses, let him go. You deserve better than him. Asterisk. After every date, do you feel a little hurt? Why do you think that is? Maybe because you like him more than he likes you? If that is the case, then distance yourself from him and turn your attention to your own work. If it is a true relationship, he will come back to you. There is nothing more foolish than obsessing over someone who doesn't like you and believing you can change that person's mind. Please, let the person go. If you do, someone else will come into your life. Asterisk. It was very painful to break up with him, right? But, looking back at it with a clear head, you knew from the start that he was not a good match. Asterisk. The more expectations you have for a relationship, the more likely it is to go awry. When a relationship feels difficult, examine it closely. Might it be that one of you is expecting too much? Asterisk. If you are going to think, why don't they do for me as much as I have done for them, then do not do it in the first place. Or give only so much that you won't expect something in return. If you feel the need to have a gesture reciprocated, the relationship will start to feel uncomfortable. Asterisk. We can get hurt by our family and friends because we rely on them excessively, or are overly involved in their lives. Demanding too much, or having too much demanded of you, is not healthy. A relationship has to be tended to like a fire. If someone comes too close, tell her to take a step back. Obsession feels a lot like love. But of course it is not love. With obsession, unlike with love, you feel the subtle selfish desire to manipulate the other person according to your wishes. While love lets the other person be, obsession wants control. Asterisk. When a problem comes up in a relationship, don't just grit your teeth and bear it. Acknowledge that the other person can be different from you, and allow them to be. Even siblings who have grown up in the same house have different viewpoints and habits. Do not just tell them to adjust to you, make room for difference. At first you found him interesting and even exciting because he is different from you. Now that difference is precisely what makes your relationship hard, isn't it? Asterisk. You have come to hate the one you used to love so much. At such a moment, recognize how fleeting love is. How slippery are the whims of our heart, how conditional love can be. Asterisk. Remember this. What heart-throbbing love brings with it, hatred and jealousy, longing and sadness, even loathing and regret, are all just passengers on the same ship. Asterisk. How someone speaks about the other relationships they've had before meeting you tells you how they will speak about you to other people. Whenever your relationship hits even a small bump in the road, do not think of yourself as a crescent moon, waiting for someone else to fill in the missing part of you. When you stand alone like a full moon, already complete in yourself, you will meet another person who is whole and complete just like you. And between you two, a healthy relationship can grow. Do not try to fit yourselves to each other to make one whole moon. Instead, be more like two full moons. You'll respect each other's individuality and interests while creating a relationship in which each of you shines brightly on the other. Dealing with disappointment. Many people answer the question, what is the most difficult thing in life, with relationships? Since it takes two people to make a relationship work, and a relationship can easily be disrupted by third parties, relationships are tricky things to nurture. In my own experience, even relationships that were strong for a long time seemed to suffer when, unbeknownst to myself, I started to feel disappointed in the other person. Whenever I feel disappointed, if I don't address the feeling, it always comes back to harm the relationship. In other words, a feeling of disappointment is like a warning light, telling me that if I don't do something about it, the relationship could fail. But unlike other emotions, disappointment is very tricky to express. It comes out as petty and small-minded, whereas if I keep it bottled up, it only gets worse. All of which makes it difficult to act either way. If we are depressed, we can at least say so and ask for help. Similarly, if we feel sad, we can cry. But if we are disappointed, the feeling is harder to express because we have to explain it to the person who has disappointed us. People who come to me for advice on this describe their experience of disappointment in various ways. When parents fail to keep a promise, their children feel disappointed, say, if their father was supposed to take them out to play or come to a school performance, but he forgot. Many fathers I've spoken with have shared their feelings of disappointment upon being treated like they are invisible by their wives and children. The same feelings arise in a wife when her husband does not take her side in a disagreement with her in-laws or friends. A young man or woman in a relationship can feel disappointed when the partner who has been so attentive gradually becomes half-hearted, not even responding when spoken to. Office workers can feel disappointment, too, when colleagues or subordinates do not respect their ideas, or when a boss does not say anything about a project they've worked overtime on. Our feelings of disappointment stem from having expectations of another person that go unfulfilled. Such expectations are often unspoken, and yet we wish that people would somehow figure them out based on nonverbal clues and fulfill them for us. When they're not met, we become frustrated and want to shout, "Do I have to spell it out every time? Why can't you figure out what I want by looking at me and my circumstances?" But of course it is difficult to know exactly what someone else expects if they haven't told us. Without the power of telepathy, how can we know what someone else is expecting? If we do not express our feelings of disappointment, they will start to build up and transform into more difficult emotions, such as anger, hurt, or even betrayal, and we may come to hold a grudge. So it is best to share your disappointment, rather than leaving it to build up inside you. And when you express it, you should be careful not to do so in a way that is aggressive or critical of the other person. or when the other person is angry. Instead, wait until both of you are calm and composed, and talk about only how you feel right then, not what was done or said many years ago. It can feel awkward at first, but after a bit of practice you will be able to stop repressing these feelings and speak calmly without damaging your relationship. Asterisk. Finally, if you seem to have feelings of disappointment more often than others, it is time to look more closely at yourself. When you feel disappointed, and you see it's because you expected something from someone else, consider why it is that you often rely on others to make you happy. Why is your self-reliance so low? Does it maybe relate to how you were brought up, or to a past trauma? Do you have a strong need for approval or attention from others? If you often feel disappointed in yourself, ask why you hold yourself to such a high standard. Are your expectations reasonable? When you understand yourself better, you might find it easier to deal with disappointment, and to accept and love yourself. Try to share your true feelings. Even if the other person is hurt at first, eventually she will be grateful to know the truth. The truth is freeing to both the one who expresses it and the one who hears it. Asterisk. True friends and good colleagues are not those who say only pleasant things to you. When it's clear you have made a mistake, they will tell you that you are at fault. Asterisk. Do not complain that someone has not accommodated your every desire. The real problem may be your expectation that others must adapt to you. The person who always adapts to you. There is no such saint in the world. Asterisk. Much of the stress in relationships comes from the lack of communication. If you stop talking to each other, your hearts will grow distant. And you will misunderstand each other. In your relationships with family, partners, and friends, however angry you may be, do not let the rope of conversation go slack for very long. Asterisk. There are times when someone wants to talk and you give them the cold shoulder. But the longer this goes on, the more it exacerbates the problem. And there are times when you deliberately avoid talking to someone. But they don't even notice. Ultimately, you are the only one who suffers. For your own sake, start talking. The silent treatment rarely works. Asterisk. A good job and money are important to our well-being. But when our relationships are harmonious, and we feel appreciated and accepted, that is when we feel most peaceful and content. Asterisk. We often feel happiest when we forget ourselves. When we feel grateful for someone, we think about that person, not so much about ourselves. When we most enjoy dancing, we lose ourselves in it. But when we are constantly thinking about ourselves, we become overly self-conscious and even egotistical. Asterisk. Recall one person whom you were grateful to recently. Send her a thank you email or text message right now. While you write it, you will notice your heart feels warm and happy. And if you wait a little, you will soon receive a reply that will be sure to make you smile. Asterisk. If you buy a New Year's calendar or diary, write the name of each person you are close to next to their birthday. And when their birthday comes, contact them to wish them well. The root of happiness lies in deep and lasting relationships. Asterisk. I don't think life has something grand in store for me. Everyday interactions with people are the very stuff of my life. And so I have to treat those around me as precious, because other than myself, they are the main characters in my life story. Asterisk. Ultimately, we desire to go beyond our ego, and to feel at one with the universe. That's why sharing makes us happy, it increases our feeling of connection. So if you want to be happier and more connected, instead of accumulating things, let them circulate back into the universe and see what happens. Something new and good will flow back to you. Asterisk. If you want to excel in a relationship, the way to do so is very simple. Give more than you receive. The more we receive, we can't help but feel grateful and like the person. Asterisk. If you want a more harmonious relationship, stop monitoring who owes what. If you constantly think, "Why did they not give me as much as I gave them?" you are constantly impeding the natural flow of your relationship. Asterisk. Before asking someone for a favor, a wise person thinks about how to help that person first. A foolish person asks a favor thoughtlessly. He talks about powerful people he knows, or tries to make you feel a sense of obligation, or else he simply begs again and again. Asterisk. If someone did not ask for your help, do not try to solve her problem for her. Though your intention may be good, you risk taking control away from her and injuring her self-esteem. Asterisk. When a family conflict comes up, don't take sides. Just listen to what both sides have to say. Otherwise, you will only make the problem worse and risk hurting a family member without meaning to. If your current circumstances are stressful, try visualizing this. Your circumstances are a hurricane, and you are the eye of the storm. Do not get swept away by the storm. Follow the wisdom emanating from the storm's peaceful eye. Asterisk. The reason we think we are better than others is that inferiority still lurks within us. A sense of superiority exists because of a sense of inferiority. Asterisk. In the course of our lives, we meet people who aggravate our sense of inferiority, the friend with a more successful career, the colleague with a better education and looks, the in-laws with a lot more money. But look beyond these externals. People who seem better off have other difficulties, brought on by the very things you envy them for. Asterisk. Someone's true self cannot be known by the things that are easy to judge, like physical appearance, academic degree, job title, etc. Those things don't tell us whether someone is humorous, kind, considerate, good at keeping promises, generous toward subordinates, or those less fortunate. Only when we know these kinds of things can we come to understand who they really are. Asterisk. You can impress someone with words at first, but without actions to back them up, the good feeling cannot last. Asterisk. Who is an unfortunate person? One who looks at other people and sees only their flaws. Asterisk. If you listen to someone tell a story about someone else, in many cases more is revealed about the speaker than the one they are speaking about. Of all the attributes that make up a person, they are speaking of the one that captured their attention. Asterisk. If someone who has never met you says this and that about you, tossing off observations quite easily, then it's clear what is really happening. They are just projecting. Asterisk. When we tried to talk critically about someone whom everyone at the meeting knew, an elder monk stood up and said, "What is the point of talking about someone who is not here?" Asterisk. There are times when a story that begins, "This is a secret," is not really a secret, or not your secret to tell. If it's the former, then you are hoping to win the confidence of your listener. If the latter, then you must want to feel the pleasure of disclosure. Asterisk. When you are with one friend, you end up gossiping about celebrities. With another, you speak about money, with another, politics. And with yet another, spirituality. This is because, rather than you being something fixed, you change moment to moment, depending on whom you are with. In light of this, cultivate a deeper connection with those people in whose company you like yourself best. Asterisk. Sushi tastes better with a cup of green tea. But if you eat it with Coca-Cola, it doesn't taste as good. The right combination is a key to success. Asterisk. When you have experienced something deeply unfair, make a formal complaint at least once, if not twice, so that it won't happen to other people. And then let the whole thing go, as quickly as possible. But if you hold on to the memory of it, you may let new opportunities and experiences pass you by. With a new heart, focus on the present, not the past. Asterisk. Relationship problems are difficult to resolve. He is unlikely to change to suit you, she won't be quick to forgive. All the accumulated hurt. It seems all we can do is try to understand the other person, the circumstances we weren't aware of. That make them act the way they do. The problem doesn't go away as soon as you figure things out. But as you come to some degree of understanding, you discover your own heart, softer and more open than before.